Hey, Fanboy Nation.
This is your pal Daffy Duck, and you're watching.
We're watching Fanboy.
Fanboy, etc.
Fanboy Nation.
Dot, I assume Tom.
I always have a wonderful time chatting with this man about his incredible documentaries and the franchise that he's created with Generation Iron. Today, we are talking about his latest documentary about Bradley Martyn, the influencer. Vlad Yudin, how are you today?
Great, man. Great to be here with you.
Listen, it's always fun chatting with you. You know, the fitness industry is huge. Olympia's coming back to Vegas for the 60th anniversary in 2024. It was just in Florida. Generation Iron, you know, from the first documentary when we spoke, and then the fourth one with the natural bodybuilders, and then the last one was about Gaspari, and here we are talking about Bradley Martyn. I want to put this out to you, since Bradley is a controversial figure. Is he the Logan Paul of the fitness industry?
Oh, wow. I've never heard that before. Really? Is he very controversial in your opinion, Bradley?
I think the interesting thing with Bradley is, like, he's genuinely who he's himself, which attracts people to him. But he does certain antics which had turned a lot of people off at certain points. So I could see that comparison to Logan Paul in that aspect. But like both of them, you cannot deny their charisma and their athleticism.
Yeah, I mean, Bradley's a complex person for sure. There's a lot of layers to him. I think if you make a comparison to Logan Paul, is that they both know how to navigate social media so well that it's almost like unmatched. You know what I mean? They know how to make when they want to make something happen on social media, they know how to get attention. So from that perspective, potentially that's similarity that happened. You know what I mean? In my opinion.
You know, how did you convince Bradley to do a documentary about him? Obviously, Generation Iron has been well known for the last decade in the fitness industry, but because he does his own thing and he's his own influencer, you know, how is he able to bring in an outside team to do a documentary about him?
It's been in the making for a very long time, actually, this film. We started making this pre-pandemic, actually. So like 2018, 19, you know. I met him like in 2017, I want to say. He did a small cameo on Generation 93, did an interview with him. And then I did another interview with him. And I saw, like, you know, he's a very vulnerable guy to a degree. And when we started making the film, it was really focused on mental health and what he went through with his father's passing away, suicide, and how he dealt with it his whole life. And of course, I was genuinely interested to see, you know, like, what it's like to be an influencer, you know, because he was really, like, raised the bar, I would say, when it comes to being influencers, you know, and made such a huge name for himself in this industry. And he was able to, one thing about him is he was able to sort of like adapt to the times, you know? You know how some people, like, they were big in 2015, then they died out, and a new generation came, and then the new generation came. He was able to kind of stay relevant, reinvent himself to a degree, and continue building his brand, you know? So I wanted to explore that. But yeah, he is a very, I don't know why he wanted to do it. You know, from my perspective as a director, I wanted to really explore what he's really like, you know. But from his perspective, I'm not sure. You know, I think we were talking about a lot about mental health and how he likes to influence people, like especially young men, and potentially help his story help other people in the certain predicament that he went through, you know. So I think maybe that's what interested him in working on something like that, you know.
You know, it's interesting, during the filming of this, and how he kept Zoo Culture's gym open during the pandemic, where athleticism and health was considered non-essential, you know, but obviously we've known it was essential. And he went through these 44 different violations that were based on ordinances and not laws. And he fought the system. You know, that is a testament to his resilience. What's it like going to court with him and sitting there and then having to get the permits from the court to even be on the grounds.
That's crazy because we started the pre-pandemic with the whole film, right? And then the pandemic happened, everything started shutting down. So the whole Bradley Martyn against Los Angeles, you know what I mean, suddenly became one of the key storylines in the film. And quite frankly, it was really like kind of like, you know, guerrilla filmmaking, you know what I mean? We just roll up and we shoot some stuff around with his lawyer, you know, and we just kind of like, we were getting a little by little because he had to go to court like so many times. And what's crazy is that every time he would go to court, there was a chance of him being actually arrested there and then doing time. You know, he never knew what was actually going to happen. Every court date was crazy. And I don't want to give too much away in the film, you know, but every court date essentially was like crazy. Like, I don't know what's going to happen, you know. So the court thing and him fighting to keep the gym open and basically making a point that the gyms are essential became such a big part of the story, you know. And obviously we didn't expect it to be when we first started making the film. But with a documentary, I think we spoke about that before, like a long time ago. Documentary, you never know what's going to happen, you know. So you just got to be ready. To me, it's all about finding the moment, and that was such a crazy moment of him. I don't know. It was him taking a big stance against sort of like, you know, and at that time it was a lot of pros and cons, obviously, when it comes to keeping the business open. But it was like the way he breaks it down in the film, why he thought gyms are essential. I thought it made a lot of sense, you know. I was like, I can see how people will look at him almost like a hero after this, you know.
You know, there is one line in the documentary, and this is the only spoiler I'm going to give, is where he says, you know, and I'm paraphrasing, that gyms weren't essential, but pornography was in filming pornography, because the film industry was considered essential, or content making was essential, and he was making content, you know. So it's interesting that pornography was considered essential, but not physical fitness.
And what's interesting is that every time he would raise these questions, nobody would ever, like, it's almost like he was getting the runaround, you know. So he's asking somebody, and somebody tells him, well, that's not my jurisdiction. You have to kind of go and somebody else. And also the same thing, or also about flying in an airplane, you know what I mean? Like going places without, obviously, he makes a lot of good points in the film about what's essential, what's not essential. And, you know, and yeah, it's crazy. That was a crazy time, man. The thing about pandemic right now is it seems like such a long time ago, you know? But it literally just happened. It's crazy.
Yeah. No, I remember flying once, and they, you know, in the airport, we were 8 feet away from everybody, and then we were shoulder to shoulder inside the airplane.
Right.
So
that's crazy. That's crazy.
You know, when you decided to work with Bradley on this, and this is a 4-year journey essentially, because we didn't expect all of this to go down during the pandemic and to keep filming. You know, what was your initial impression in wanting to do the documentary versus realizing, how you said, he is a sensitive person and a complex person, and you do a very good job in revealing that he's multi-layered and not just, you know, this quote unquote meathead, you know, for clicks.
Yeah, you know, I mean, after meeting him for the first time, and maybe 2 times, I knew he was complex. You know, he has different sides to him. He has a very smart, savvy business side that I think, you know, most people realize after kind of getting to know his brands. He has a few different, obviously, his clothing company. He has a lot of different brands that he's running, you know. And of course, you can just search his videos on YouTube to see that he is very business savvy. A lot of things he does behind the scenes, you know. And then there's a very vulnerable side where he's really like, in this film, I feel like for the first time, he's really showing that side so openly, you know, and he doesn't really try to hide it that much. Or not, because he just opens up about, you know, like his story of his father and like what he going through kind of like on a weekly basis, where, you know, he might feel, I don't know, he definitely deals with depression in his own way, you know. And so I feel like, you know, I knew he was complex. It was a bit complex to work with because obviously, you know, sometimes people are in different moods, you know. So, but I'm used to that already because I work with people like Kai Green. I work with so many people in the fitness industry. Quite frankly, a lot of the people are pretty complex, you know. And Bradley was no exception, except that it's interesting to see how people react to him. You know, he has a lot of fans, of course. And I feel like some of his fans only know him for certain things. Like some of his fans, for example, in the recent years, they follow him strictly for his podcast, you know. Some people follow him strictly for maybe some kind of like extravagant things he does on his social media, you know. So I feel like this film gives a full picture of who he is and sort of like what influenced him. Because the film is called The Influencer, right? And of course, it's a very like it might be looked as a pretentious name, especially in the fitness industry. People look at like, oh, he's just an influencer, you know what I mean? It's got like a downgrade, you know what I mean? But in this case, the influencer really stands for what's influencing him and who he's trying to influence. So it's like it's a double meaning to the title, in my opinion.
And his logo and his tattoo go into the detail of what each piece of the pie is to represent, which was impressive.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, we do see a lot of fitness influencers out there. We also see the gym honey trap is how I like to refer to it. You know, they'll set up the camera and then they'll try to shame the person in the background. And the good thing about Bradley is he owns the gym, so he can set up the cameras when he wants, you know, before the gym opens or after the gym closes. You know, let's put it in that perspective. How do we avoid that gym honey trap where we're just trying to work out while somebody else is, you know, putting their camera on, trying to catch people looking in the background?
Oh man, you know Joey Swole?
Yeah, I know, not personally, but I know of him. Yeah.
Yeah. That guy like made a whole new level to his persona online by actually exposing a lot of that stuff, right? So, Bradley's gym, right? Zoo Culture. It's a different type of gym. You know what I mean? Like it's really a gym full of. I mean, it's all types of people that go there, of course, you know. But it's like they go there expecting cameras, you know. I feel like everybody's very comfortable with that, and I don't think there's a lot of people like exposing each other there. You know what I mean? Like I think what you're referring to, like what Joey Swole refers to, is basically let's say you go to like a Planet Fitness or you go to like any type of like a regular type gym, right? And then you catch people off guard there that are not really expecting that type of action. You know what I mean? They're not expecting people filming there or setting it up. Of course, it happens, but like Zoo Culture is different. Like there's so many influencers. There's so many fitness influencers that other than Bradley that go there. You know what I'm saying? Like, and the expectation of the camera is going to be there. You know, it's even like people film with camera crews there. You know, like he's very open with that. So it's like I don't think anybody's trying to hurt anybody there, or they try not to be on camera. I feel like it's kind of more like a community of people that have that type of expectation of cameras being around.
What's something you were surprised to learn about Bradley through the documentary? Because he opens up quite a bit with the way he lost his father and the fear of failing and how the classroom version of education wasn't for him. You know, there has to be something about him that you were surprised to learn.
I did not expect him to really stand up like that against the city. That was very surprising. I'll be honest with you. I could not ever predict that, because there was so other gyms that complied, you know. And for him, I felt like he had a lot to lose. He lost a lot of money fighting it, obviously, and he put his freedom on the line. Also, like I did not expect that at all. Like I did not expect him to be the pioneer for like the gym culture like that. You know what I'm saying? There's way more the people that I expected for them to do that. But definitely not for Bradley. Not to say that he's not passionate about the gym. I just didn't see, like in my opinion, he had a lot more to lose than to gain. But he took it differently. He thought that he was really like that, you know. So that aspect of the film, I feel like people are going to be really surprised with, just like I was, because I was, you know, I did not expect that film to pivot in another direction. You know?
You know, it's a beautiful pivot, and the way everything worked out was you know, quite surprising. So we were thrilled in how everything developed.
Yeah, man, 100%.
You know, as the documentary is getting ready to be released, you know, where are we going to be able to find it? Obviously through Generation Iron itself, but are they going to be on not opposing platforms, but shared platforms as well?
Yeah, for sure. So it's going to be available on all major platforms where you can watch your films starting this Friday. You can see it on Apple. You can see it on Amazon, Google Play, and a few other platforms as well. Voodoo as well, yeah, another big one, Voodoo. So you can see it on your smart TVs at home, on your phone, whatever you can.
Vlad, it is always a great pleasure talking to you and anything Generation Iron. Bradley Martyn Influencer is available for viewing on Generation Iron's platform and multiple other platforms beginning Friday, December 1st. Thank you so much for your time as always. And one of these days, we're actually going to have to hang out in person together.
Look forward to it, brother. Thank you so much.